This is a Defocus Media production.
Audio Jungle.
What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, resident optometry nerd.
And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus. What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover. Super excited today because we have another amazing star. You know what? I think I have a crush on Canada because for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I've had nothing but all-stars from Canada representing with me. And today I'm very excited because our star, our eye care celebrity, our eyewear expert, has really changed the game. You see, she has done things that we have never seen in eye care. Things that have elevated the brand, but also made her an ambassador for our brand. And I'm super excited today to welcome my friend, my pal, who I just got to see at Vision Expo not too long ago, Wendy Buchanan. How are you doing today, Wendy?
I am fabulous, and I'm so excited to see you again. It's like my lucky day, my lucky year. I've seen you twice now this year.
Look, I feel the same way. You know, anytime that I get around an expert or have the opportunity to pick someone's brain, most importantly, learn from them, it just makes my world a happier place. I'm super excited today. I'm passionate about eye care. I'm passionate about eyewear. And when I think of eyewear, I think of a few people in the industry that has really changed the game. You're definitely one of them. Just your knowledge, just your eye for eyewear, and just your knowledge of how to really communicate with patients is truly unmatched. But before we get started, I mean, I know you, right? I adore you. But I want the rest of the world to know you and adore you. So if you don't mind maybe sharing your background, how did you get into eye care? What is your why? Maybe let's start off there. That way we can get the crowd, the listeners, the followers, our eye care family out there to get to know you a little bit better, if you don't mind, Wendy.
Absolutely. And I wish I had a direct answer for my why. But I really stumbled into this industry, and I'll tell you, I was 22 years old. I was working for a dentist. I was a dental assistant.
Okay.
And my friend Judy and I, we would get together every day. Her and I would have lunch, and we'd always have these great conversations. And one Wednesday, Judy and I are together, and Judy's like, "Oh, you know what? I really think you need to find another job."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Well, like, you can't fire me. Like, you're not my boss." Like, and she said, no. I just think that this isn't for you. I think you need to change professions. And
Wow.
She didn't want to come out and say it, but I wasn't really good at it at all. Do you know, as an eye doc, did you learn the anatomy of the mouth at all?
Actually, yes, we learned this whole body, the whole system. And yes, familiar with the mouth somewhat.
So they're at the back of your mouth, there's the uvula.
Yes.
And I was such a bad dental assistant that I would always suction up that uvula.
Oh my goodness. Yikes.
If anybody was ever my patient way back then. So I knew I wasn't good at it, but Judy's saying, no, you need to move on. You need to do something different. And I said to Judy, like, we're having our lunch. And I said, well, what am I going to do? And she said, you should go talk to a friend of mine. He's an optician. He has a store. You should go talk to him. And I think I was just naive enough, or I had a lot of time, and I just went, okay, sure. I'll go talk to you. I'll talk to your friend, Dennis.
Right.
So here I am. I called Dennis up and I said, I should come talk to you. My friend Judy is telling me to come and talk to you. And he said, okay, come and talk to me. And I walked in with my dental assistant scrubs on, and I said, like, I have no idea why I'm here. I have no idea what you do. I don't wear glasses. I knew nothing about the industry. And he showed me around his store for 2 hours. He told me what a PD was. And at the end of 2 hours, he said, well, do you want to work for me? And I said, what on earth would I do? Like, I don't know what I would do. And he said, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And I started working for him the very next week. And I was such a great negotiator, Dr. Darryl. Oh my gosh. I went in, I was at that time, I was making $6 an hour working
Okay.
for my dentist. And I said, I am not working for under $6 an hour. And I walked in and Dennis says, I'm gonna give you $5 an hour. And I went, okay. So I really stumbled into the business and then kind of just advanced and stayed with it for the next, well, now 36 years.
Sure. Well, I would say that you didn't truly stumble into business, but the business found you,
Yes.
right? And we're truly blessed to have you to be a part of this amazing profession. Believe
Thanks.
it or not, I hear a lot of stories, and it's always that optometry or the eye care profession finds individuals and they bring them in, they suck them in, and those folks tend to be the best that's in the profession that truly serve as ambassadors for, comprehensive eye exam, spectacular eyewear, and all types of jazz like that. So I am super
Yeah.
grateful and super thankful that you were a horrible dental hygienist or assistant, and that you came over to eye care. And I agree with Teresa Clay out there that's watching right now. She mentioned that's the magic of our industry, and
Yeah.
I strongly believe that as well. And playing off of magic, I want to talk about some of the magic that you have created, some of the magic that you've created over the last 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, you have an incredible story. I mean, from mobile eye care, eyewear, to design or to styling folks. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So I'm just going to kind of let you take the lead, and let's take it back to maybe
Yeah.
26 years ago and start from that part of the journey and kind of navigate our way up to where we're at today. Because I want to share your story and I want to learn from your story. Because you know what, Wendy? There's someone that's listening to this podcast that was sitting in your same seat. They're
Mm-hmm.
at a dental office and they are, in there sucking the wrong thing out the mouth. And they may say, I need a job change. I need a switcheroo. And I want to
Yeah.
be able to make sure that they feel comfortable. But most importantly, I want to make sure that we share the impact that you made in the industry. So let's kind of rewind and take it back 26 years ago and get started from there. I mean, does that sound pretty cool to you? Pretty good?
Absolutely. And I have to believe that there's people out there that like me didn't even know what this industry was, and they might have a friend and be listening and think, oh gosh, I can jump ship and move. But I was 10 years into the optical industry and I actually was disillusioned. I was bored. I was working, in a mall for a big company. I was in a management role. And, when I went into opticianry, I didn't think about I'd have to be a good manager. And I didn't know about learning that skill. And I just was bored. I was selling the same frames every day, over and over to different people, having the same conversations. And I thought, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
tired. I'm bored. And I was like, I'm jumping ship. And I left and I decided to train to be an image consultant.
Okay.
And an image consultant is a professional stylist who helps people create their visual brand through clothing and accessories. And I loved fashion as a hobby and just, shopping, like probably 3/4 of the people on this call probably. And I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is
Yeah.
way more fun. And I
Yeah.
started a company called Perceptions Image Consulting. I started styling mostly women with wardrobes and accessories that match their brand and their business image. And the women who were wearing eyeglasses looked really bad. Like, the frames that they were wearing were a complete disconnect with the outfit. Well, I was so focused on never fitting another pair of glasses that I wasn't even understanding that eyewear is fashion.
Yes.
And 26 years ago, it definitely wasn't as much as it is today. And that one client, like, I think there's a theme here. I'm willing to listen to other people and I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to take chances. And
Nice.
she said, you're an optician. Why don't you get me some nice glasses? And I was like, I never thought of that. And I brought in 12 frames and I started to style out of an inventory of 12 frames. And all of my referrals after that came from the women wearing nice eyewear.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I was like, okay, this is where the revenue is. This is
Yeah.
what's driving the referral business. So I pivoted very quickly and I changed my business from Perceptions Image Consulting to Perceptions Eyewear. And I thought, why not be a stylist for eyewear and work with my clients the exact same way I was doing in my image business?
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to go back to storefront. I didn't want to work 7 days a week. I didn't want to manage people.
Yeah.
And so I created a mobile eyewear boutique and I just started networking. There was no Instagram or social media at that time. Like it was hardcore networking.
Right.
I had a lot of time and I had no money.
Yeah.
And I just started to network and talk about my business and then build the business from kind of the ground up with no storefront.
Yeah, I love that story, and the thing that I love the most about it is being able to pivot,
Yeah.
right? You know, a lot of times us as people, we think that we have to stay in one lane because we started it, and we have to continue to go down that same lane our entire life. But
Right.
sometimes, there's a blessing right in front of you, and if you can pivot and take that direction, it will change your life completely, right? And I'm super excited that you were able to make that pivot and figure out what your true calling was. And as a result of it, you have made a big name for yourself in eye care, and you have helped tons of people when it comes to eyewear. Now, for me, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I think about is what eyewear am I going to wear, right? And then I kind of dress myself down. And I
Yes.
think for me, that's just maybe my little thing, but I think there's a lot of people out there that love eyewear and eye care that are kind of the same.
Yeah.
I know it was tough many, many moons ago when it came to fashion and eyewear. But one person I definitely want to give a shout out to that has done a fantastic job. And actually, he was one of my first guests on the podcast many, many moons ago. And I actually met him in person when I blogged about his designs back in the day. And that was Sir Oliver Goldsmith.
Yes.
Fantastic individual, unmatched designs. His designs were on the likes of Audrey Hepburn and a lot of these Hollywood stars from back in the day. And, he was kind of the one that really birthed, some of that fashion when it comes to eyewear and movies and runways and things like that. So I want to give him a shout out because he's a little more seasoned than I am, but believe it or not, he reached out to me on social media to have a conversation. So,
Yeah.
it's amazing what fashion has done to our industry. It's an amazing thing that can help push our profession forward. But let's continue with this story here because it's getting better and better and better and better as we
Yeah.
talk. Um, Kind of walk me through what this mobile boutique looks like. I mean, is this something that's a vehicle? Is this something that's more in a suitcase? Is this something that you just carry along in your car? I mean, kind of walk me through what that looks like and what the process was to think about how to create this design and this concept as well.
Well, with my image consulting company, I was already mobile and I was
Mhm.
meeting clients at their homes and their offices because I was looking at their wardrobes. And I thought I can do the same thing and bring the eyewear right to them because then I can look at their wardrobe and I can be in their environment and I can
Yeah.
look at their office. And the neat thing with it is that the people are extremely comfortable because it's their environment, it's their space. And I have suitcases of eyeglasses. I've over time I slowly built up my inventory. Every time I sold a pair of glasses, I'd buy more frames. Sell a pair of glasses, buy more frames, and I would take enough money to buy my food, pay my rent, and pay my gym membership. And that was my expenses. And so that's what I would draw out of my company to live on. And then everything else, like my energy and my money all went into building this. And when I look back, I remember driving around and I'm going, I don't know how this is all going to work, but I know it's going to work.
Yes.
And I just kept working it. And so I meet with someone. I typically book an hour appointment. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. I've had some people I'm in and out in literally 6 minutes. They're like, tell me what to wear. Okay, take the measurements, get out. I've got a meeting.
That's
Uh,
nice.
but I've built that clientele up too. It's almost like um, you groomed your clients so that they
Yeah.
would send the same type of people to you. And then I look at their wardrobe style. I look at their personal coloring. I look at the image they want to project. And then how are we going to create that look with eyewear in the best shapes, materials, design lines, color placement, and make it all work for them.
Yeah.
And it's grown. But you know what, I will tell you that I was like 3 years in, and I was doing a great job, but I didn't know how to sell. I never
Really?
learned how to really sell. My last retail job was 2 for 1. So
Okay.
I was buy one get one free. Here, pick from this thing and this display, and they're all free. And I had to learn to really figure that out because I knew that it wasn't sustainable. If I was going to give that high level of service and time and only sell one pair of glasses, I was likely going to be out of business.
Right, right. Well, I've seen you online, I've seen you in person, and I know there's this thing out there that it looks like you created and pioneered, called the five spec style personalities, right? And I'm
Yeah.
assuming that you leverage this concept to be able to really cater to your clients that are sitting in front of you. So, right now in the current landscape of optometry, it's tough because there are big businesses out there. Your independent practices are struggling, and they're always looking for ways to improve their business, to improve their bottom line. And I would love for you to maybe touch on what this concept looks like, because I'm a strong believer that what you're doing right now can really help elevate independent practice or even a big box practice, simply because we have to understand that, yes, we're not sellers, but yes, we do indirectly sell. And it's
Yeah.
all about how you, in my personal opinion, ask the right questions and connect whatever pain points that the patient may have or the client may have with the solution that you have at hand. Whether that's the right frame design, if they're outside running a lot, maybe you want something that wraps a little bit more, a certain color tint. You see how you move it from just trying to sell them to something, but actually finding a solution to accommodate their lifestyle. But let's talk about this concept that you have, the five spec style personalities. Let's take it from the top and kind of build and learn together.
Yeah, and the 5 spec style personalities I created out of a need to stay alive in my business.
Mm,
Or when I said I was 3 years in, it was like, okay, you've got the theory and you've got the training. So what do you need to do now to grow and create a sustainable business? And for 1 year, every single individual that I styled with eyewear, I studied them intently. And I looked at their facial features, even right down to the shape of their face, their clothing style they like to wear, the colors they like to wear, their personal complexion. And then I would look at the eyewear that I was intuitively styling them with. So why did I go to that frame? What did I do there? How do I communicate what I was doing? And
gotcha.
the 5 spec style categories were created out of studying over 1,000 people
Wow.
and really sitting down. So almost, I call it my fashion science, because when it's all up here in my brain, what I was doing intuitively, I couldn't explain it to anybody else, and I couldn't communicate it well to my clients either.
Yeah.
Well, once I figured that out and I would start to categorize my people, one, it takes away judgment. It took away any bias I might have had about clients or what I thought they could afford. And I just started to offer them 2 or 3 and 4 pairs of glasses in every meeting. Because what I had figured out in that year of studying is that every single person is at least 2 spec styles, and often they're 3.
Yeah.
And now I had a method to my madness, my mental madness. It's like, what are you doing? And I could explain it. And they'd say, well, why? Like, are you saying that I need 3 pairs of glasses? And I'm like, yes. And this is why. And then I would go through the exact why that specific frame worked specifically for them. Not that it was trendy, not that it was like the greatest, hottest thing out there. It was like, why does that work for you? And people started to buy. And it was like, oh, this is good. This is good. Like, I just have to keep, if they don't buy 3, that's okay. They still get the best service. I'm still going to treat them exactly the same way. But if I can make a $3,000 sale instead of a $1,000 sale, I can see that I am going to be around in another 2 years to look after them.
Yeah, I love it. And I just love how detailed that you got with it, right? Down to the face shape and even down to the complexion. Because when it comes to eyewear, the one thing that I think a lot of us need more training on is truly the complexion of the skin, right? Because certain colors complement certain colors, right? Not everything looks great on everyone. And I think it's great that you really broke that down from top to bottom. Before we go on, Wendy, my chat box is blowing up. People love you. I got Suzanne Sindel, who is a rock star. She stated here, a great inspiration to our industry. Wendy's also a contributor writer for Optic magazine. She's a regular on our talk show circuit and inspires many to take chances with independent eyewear. Kudos. And shout out to Suzanne. She's another one of my Canadian buddies that is just a rock star. Some of the things that she's doing behind the scenes is really going to elevate the industry and push the profession forward. So I can't wait for her to share her story a little bit more as well. And I love this. Sell the more, the merrier. Glasses should be abundant. They tell the world who we are. And that's right. It shares our personality and who we are as people. Looks like we have another one here from Ashan Ferris. I created removable charms for kids' glasses, and I'm wondering if she styles kids. Would love to connect. My Insta is mashcaps_. Check them out and DM me if you're interested in collaborating. See, like, everyone knows that you're a rock star and they want a piece of you and they want to collaborate because they know where your heart is. So I'm loving this. This is fantastic. Then we have someone else again, Teresa Clay. I hope they make this shareable. I'm sending to all my Fossify accounts. These are gems. So, again, people love what you do, and we appreciate you dropping these gems on us today.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm happy to be here. And, I don't specifically work with children, but I can still promote it. there's other opticians that do, and there's and standing out in a kid's practice is just as important, because all of those kids have parents that all come to your practice. And so now you're attracting a different clientele that's also leading you to a bigger market. So absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in my practice. I've always said this on the show. I see a lot of women, right? But most importantly, I see a lot of mothers. And the key thing is, you always got to wow the mother, because if you get the mother, you're going to get the children. You're definitely going to get the husband. The husband may take a little longer to get in because, we're stubborn and hard-headed, but at some point in time, they will make the trip in. As a matter of fact, prime example, today I had a patient come in and, he was like, Dr. Glover, my daughter's been seeing you for about 2 or 3 years. My wife has been in here for the last 1.5 years, and someone else in the family has come in, and they said, I have to come see you. So today I'm here to see you. And it was just a great interaction, and I'm just blessed and thankful just to have, my patients be advocates for me. and walking billboards for me to really show that or share that I do genuinely care. I'm all about making sure that my patients could truly live their best lives, and whatever I can do to find the right solution for their eyes, I'm going to make happen. And if I don't have the solution, I'm going to make sure I connect with someone like Wendy Buchanan, Suzanne Sandell, or Dr. Harbir Cyan, to make sure that they give them the right tools and resources to be successful as well.
Yeah, you can't fake that. Like that's the authenticity piece, and that's what even when I'm teaching and training, I'm like, you have to do things your way. You know, you
Yes.
can use my theory, you can use my secret sauce, but you do it your way because it has to be authentic.
Yeah.
And because they know that. And there's no other you. You've got to just be you, but be the very best, most awesome you. And
And
don't
you
be
know what's
afraid to
crazy,
put
Wendy?
that out there.
The crazy part is it's not difficult to be who you truly are, you know? So I don't know why
Easier
we
than
want
being
to,
somebody else.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like the easiest thing in the world. So I know that I'm silly and goofy at times, but I can be serious. I know that I love to travel. I know that I'm a foodie. I know that I love my family, and I just share my story with everyone. And as a result of that, again, to your point, that makes me authentic because when people look at me, they say, hey, he's just like me. He likes to travel. He likes food. He's a little goofy at times, a little quirky at times. But you know what? I could gel with that and I could kick it with him. And most importantly, I'm going to go make sure that I get my eyes examined by him as well. Now,
Yeah.
I want to kind of pivot back to where we were before and get back into this secret sauce
Yes.
because, again, you got a lot of sauce there. We got to make sure the whole world knows about it, right? We got to
It's
soak up as
spicy.
much game as we can,
Spicy
right?
sauce.
But let's talk about really your sales methodology, right? I know you got this concept of the spectacular sales methodology, and I would love to kind of walk through that process because again, we're in tough times in eye care, right? There's the medical side of optometry, there's the retail side of it, and a lot of our money comes from the retail side, and a lot of folks are losing business because they're not giving that wow factor or they're losing business to online sales. So I'd really love to kind of dive deep in this and get a little granular because I want my colleagues to be
Mhm.
able to excel in their practices.
Yeah. And the spec methodology, like the spec styles are foundational to the entire spec methodology. And spec
Gotcha.
is SPEC.
Gotcha.
We're the best at these puns in our industry. But C, the first part of the methodology is how you see yourself, having a strong self-awareness of who you are, how you want to show up, and being authentic in the presentation of who you are. And that whole part of how you see yourself is there's a piece of it that we don't often talk about, which is the perception that others have of you. And the cool thing is you completely control that narrative.
Yeah.
So how you show up, how you present, how you talk, how you engage with your patients is all part of how you see yourself. And I always say, get you right and then move through the methodology. So then the next
Ooh, I
part,
like that. Wendy, you're gonna have to say that one more time. One more time. Get yourself right.
yeah, just work on you, get you right. And when you get this piece right, that is your visual power. And
Yeah.
that nobody else can be that. You completely diffuse your competition, and you also become a walking, talking marketing machine for your business.
Right.
And
Right.
then once you've got you all figured out and you're showing up, then you can move into the P, which is perceive. And that's now you can help your patients, your clients with their desired image. How do they want to show up? How do they want to be perceived? And again, the 5 spec style categories, there's no one that's better than the other. They're just
Right.
different. And so
Yeah.
you remove all that judgment or any bias that you have, and you can help them let them show you who they want to be instead of trying to inflict your opinions on them. And then the third part of the methodology is engage. And that's using the language of the spec styles to really get emotional, like really engage with your client at a different level. And, seamlessly move from that medical eye exam, lens technology conversation into fashion and style. Because I really believe that people are more motivated to buy multiple pairs when it's fashion. Are they going to buy 2 computer pairs of glasses? Are they going to buy 2 pairs of progressives? Are they going to buy 2 sunglasses? Maybe not if it's just a functional conversation, but if we can weave that function, technical in with fashion, now it's like magic, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the engagement level. And this is where you get emotional because you're talking to them about who they specifically are, what their spec style is. Yeah. And then the last part that we roll into is connection. And I always laugh because everybody wants to go right to connection. How do I connect? How do I close? How do I influence and, make the sale? And it's like, well, you can't do that till you've gone through everything else.
Right.
And then when you do make recommendations, they're credible.
Yes.
You have conversations that are intentional. You ask curious questions so that when you do make your offer, you've got credibility and they understand the value of having those pairs of glasses, whatever it is that you just recommended. But you don't get the credibility right from the get-go. You've got to earn it, and you kind of go through that patient journey through the sales cycle.
Yeah. And the word that you just hit on, or the phrase, is the patient journey, right? For all my eye care professionals out there, if you haven't sat down and taken the time to write out what your patient journey looks like, you're making a major mistake in your practice. You're going to turn patients off. You have to understand, what that journey looks like. You have to understand how much time they spend in each stage of that journey. You have to understand, where they may have difficulties throughout that journey, right? You want to be able to anticipate their every need. So when it comes to the end and they're doing the selection of the eyewear and they're working with that optician or that eyewear consultant, that whole time that they've been in the office, you want to tee them up for success. You want to find a solution to accommodate their lifestyle and any problem that you have. And Wendy, this whole concept that you have broken down really allows a patient to go through a journey and enjoy themselves, especially when they sit down at that table to have a conversation with the eyewear consultant or optician or eye care or eyewear expert. The piece that I really love about this is really, I guess, number 3 is that engaging piece.
Yes.
To me, that is huge. People are coming to us because we're the experts. And if we really let them just run off and do their own thing and look at frame boards and not really have that conversation and engage and learn more about that and have that curiosity, like you stated earlier, you're going to set yourself up for failure. That patient may buy a pair of glasses that day, but they may buy the wrong glasses, right? And I'm in the business, and I know you are, Wendy, to find solutions to help elevate patients' lives, not just to sell them something. That's bad business. That's not going to keep your patients coming back, and that's not going to make their life easier. So it's very important to engage. Now, I want to kind of circle back to the curiosity piece. I'm curious to know, what are some questions that you ask your patients or your clients? I know it's going to be different depending on the person that's sitting in front of you, but we all have maybe a handful of things that we say every day, right? Just to get the conversation started and make patients or clients feel comfortable. But if you don't mind maybe sharing some of those curiosity questions so that some of these colleagues today that want to, take something from this podcast, maybe tomorrow they can start foundational with maybe a curiosity question that's out there, right?
Yeah. And one of the simplest things that everybody can do tomorrow, and I use it with every single person. If I miss it somehow, it's because we got off on a really fun conversation. But I always say, what colors do you love to wear in your wardrobe?
Ooh.
Men, women, it's easy. It's not, were you looking for glasses today? Well, what kind of glasses do you want? Well, what style would you like? Don't do that. We only have a short time, so don't do that. Because it sounds like you've given away your expertise when you do that.
Yeah.
And I have a great story. I went in to see a brand new hairdresser. My appointment was at 1:00. I walk in 2 minutes to 1, which is rare for me to be on time, but I was. And I get to the desk and the receptionist says to me, how can I help you? And I looked at her like blank stare. And I said, I have an appointment for a haircut. Like, what else would I be doing here?
Well,
And
hey, Wendy, I could understand if that was me going in there and I was trying to get my hair cut, because they'll look at my head and say, what the hell is going on, right? But in your case, I got to ask them what the hell was going on, because that didn't make any kind of sense.
It's like, and I said, what she could have done is know who the next appointments are, looked at the schedule.
Yes.
And if she'd said, well, if I walked in and she said, are you Wendy? Are you here to see Nicole at 1:00? I'd be like, whoa, yes, I feel special. I feel seen. I feel like you guys are going to take care of me and I can relax for the next hour.
Yeah.
But when I'm greeted that way, so that story just came up, but let me go back. So color is huge. I really paying attention to what they're wearing. If they're carrying a red handbag, I'm like, oh, I love that handbag.
Yeah.
Do you like to wear red a lot?
Yeah.
And starting to figure them out. And if they say to me, oh no, this is the only red bag. I never wear red. This is just a one-off. I'm like, oh, okay. So what are the colors you love to wear?
Right.
So I would say, don't worry about getting it wrong, because when you ask a question and you got it wrong, they're going to tell you, and then you pivot and you ask another question. So it keeps the conversation going. And sometimes I'll say, oh, would you wear this like really crazy artsy frame? And then I'm not even trying it on. Well, that tells me immediately what one of their spec styles is. And so it's that I'm asking that question because I'm trying to discover what their spec style is.
Yeah.
Through those questions. I'm looking at the style of shoes they wear. That's helping me to know what their style is. Yeah. But then I don't want to just fit them with the outfit they have on today. So I want to explore. And what else do you wear? And what do you wear when you're out for dinner on Saturday night? Like, do you like to wear dresses? Do you get dressed up? So I just keep going and going and going. I'm like the Energizer Bunny until I can figure out who they are. And then somewhere in that process, I'm starting to pull frames out because I'm already starting to assess what I would do.
Yeah.
And it keeps it lively, and it keeps me focused on them specifically. Right. So I'm even thinking about eyewear and going through, the collections. It's like, oh. And then sometimes I surprise myself. Like I'm looking, I'm like, oh, you got to try this. And they get all excited because you just got excited. And so that just breeds more excitement and enthusiasm. And I think that's where we really can connect with people too.
Yeah. And, I really hope all my optometrist colleagues out there are listening. A lot of things that you mentioned, I do when I'm walking my patient to our optical area. I may look at their bag. I may look at their watch. I may look at their shoes, and I'll mention colors, but I also mention brands. And to your point, if that is the only thing that they have in red, at least now you know not to find a frame that is red, right? And maybe pivot to something else, to your point earlier. So all my ODs out there, treat this no differently from when you're in the exam lane, right? Mm-hmm. You see something, you ask about it, and then you find a solution. It's the same thing with the retail side, with the frames, with the fashion side. You have to ask additional questions. You have to dig a little deeper because, yes, we do the medical side of optometry, but there's also the fashion side, the retail side. And we got to make sure that we're setting our team up for success. But most importantly, marrying those two things that function in that fashion to make sure that that patient has the best solution possible.
Oh,
Now,
and you just touched on something brilliant, that handover,
yeah,
that setting them up for success. If you already know what their spec style, one of their spec style personalities, and then you hand over and you communicate that in front of the patient, they're like, oh, they're all on the same page.
yes,
Like they all are experts. It's
yeah,
not like the doctor's a great eye doctor. It's like that this person's trained and that person's trained, and they
yeah.
are all speaking the same language as they go through. It's brilliant because you have to set your opticians up for success.
Absolutely. I mean, teamwork makes the dream work. Before we started the show this evening, we were having a conversation, and that was one of the terms that we use, and that's real.
Yeah.
But no, this has been great. I mean, I've loved everything that we touched on. Something that I really admire about, when you're talking about frames and everything is that, your inventory. And I think that's another gem that, everyone that's listening out there that sells eyewear and maybe have a big practice, once your doctor sets you up for success, know your inventory, know every frame that's in that practice, because it may be that one frame that's on the bottom all the way to the right, may be the perfect option for that
Yeah.
patient that's sitting in front of you. So know your inventory. That makes a world of difference. And start thinking when you're having these conversations. Put the picture together, find the right frame, find the right lens solution, and just make sure you set that patient up for success.
Yeah.
Now,
And be willing to get it wrong. Like
yeah,
sometimes I think, oh, yeah, you know what? That first pair, it's great. And I'm like, and let's try this, and let's try this. And then somehow we land somewhere where I was like, I didn't think that that's where we were going to go today. It's almost like when you're excited and you're the expert, it's like your patients level up. They're like,
yes,
well, I didn't think I could wear that either. But now after, this consultation, I'm a new person. Like I
yeah.
want to go out and be somebody different in my new pair of eyeglasses too.
Yeah. Hey, Woody, I got a question for you. Whenever you talk about the different types of eyewear to accommodate the patient's lifestyle, do you typically start with the secondary pair, or do you start with the primary pair that they wear? Because I feel like, just in the mindset, you're going to get your traditional pair of glasses, but if you can really start the conversation, uh, outside of that, then you're going to set them up for success and have them really thinking about the holistic picture of giving them the right solutions. What do you normally start with when you have those conversations?
Oh, it's funny because that traditional term is a spec style. That's the
Mhm.
natural. So the natural might want a traditional everyday pair, but the inspired artist and the daring dramatic have no desire to have a traditional everyday pair.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So it depends on that again, that visual assessment where I'm going, because do they want just a classic black plastic? They will never buy it, but they might buy 2 or 3 pairs of like wild colors that to them is a normal everyday pair, but it's not traditional, if that makes sense. So with certain, once I know it, it's like I'm not even using that vocabulary. I'm using, oh, this one's going to be bold, and like if I put this traditional metal frame on you, I'm going to make you look like a little old lady, and so I'm going to go over here and do this, and and I think you should be in this, because they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to be old. I don't want to be
Yeah.
old. And that's with it a relationship too. Obviously, I'm not telling a complete stranger that I think they look old in those
They look
glasses.
old, right?
But you have to have street smarts and common sense as well.
Absolutely. No
But
doubt
I'm
about it.
I'm just constantly, it's not even like one pair. It's like, well, you're going to wear this one when you're wearing this, and you're going to wear this pair the next day when you told me, you know, you're going to be on a podcast and you want to show up on screen, then I'm going to give you this blue pair. And then when you're presenting in front of a large group, and I know you want to be a little more dynamic, I'm going to bring in this one. And so I'm talking more about when they're going to wear them, how they're going to wear them, the image they're projecting with each pair. So it's very directed at them and it's personal.
Yeah, you really create that personalized approach, and I love that. And that's what patients want, and that's what they seek. I mean, just always think about yourself when you go somewhere. You just mentioned going to get your hair cut. You wanted that personalized connection. You
Yeah.
wanted them to mention your name. You wanted to mention who you were going to see. You wanted to have that red carpet rolled out for you, and that's what patients want too. So do it. It'll change the game for you. Now,
And we should be doing it. You know, it should be an expectation if we want to stand out and we want to be different and we want to differentiate and diffuse our competition. We want to be creating that feeling. I always say we're in the business of making people feel good.
yeah,
Feel good and look good.
and look good.
And see good.
See good. Clearly, we got the same brain here, right?
I know.
Now, Wendy, I can't leave this show without really having a conversation about your personal style, right? Every time I see you, you have an amazing pair of eyewear on, an amazing set of glasses on. So I really would love to maybe dive into some of your top eyewear because everything you wear is fabulous. I mean, straight up. I love the big, bold look, the colors. They're just so robust, the rich acetate. Every time I see you, it just brings a big, what we would call back in the day, Kool-Aid smile on my face, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I would love to maybe discuss your top 3 favorite eyewear. Because again, you are a rock star when it comes to eyewear. So let's dig a little bit into your closet and learn a little bit more about what type of personality you have and what eyewear that you wear as well. So let's take it from the top, my friend.
I wish we could roll with this camera and I could actually take you to my closet because I did a renovation and I had them build me a big eyewear, all these shelves for my eyewear. And the guy's like, you just put them in a drawer. And I'm like, are you crazy? These don't go in a drawer. These have to be on the wall so I know what I'm wearing. Yep. So I love, you know, and you know, you said about that Kool-Aid smile.
Yeah.
I meet the coolest people when I wear cool eyewear.
Yes.
Like you meet strangers and that have great conversations. But okay, so I actually picked out a few to show you because I've got them all over my desk.
Nice.
But this one, I love Nina Muir.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful.
So these are handcrafted in Spain. The designer's Lorena. I think you pick from like 50 different colors and a gazillion different shapes.
Yeah.
So I love that because royal blue is my power color. And so if you see me often in blue because I love it. And you know what I said about that perception piece? Yes. Other people love blue too. So I attract the right clients to me.
So hold on before you go to the next one, because this is a good time to really educate, right? You know, the one thing that two things we excel at Defocus Media is creating awareness and educating. So if I have a patient come in and I have a frame like that in my office, how do you describe that frame? Because the one thing that I took from another one of my great colleagues out there that described frames, Suzanne, who we were talking about earlier, the adjectives that she used are so explosive. I mean, she mentions words like rich, you know, and when you hear that and you're saying that to a patient, that changes the game, right? They go from, you know, sitting over like this to sitting up, eyes get bigger, and, you know, their appetite to hear what you have to say, it just gets, you know, bigger, right? So like, how would you describe a pair of frames that you have on right now? Because I'm curious to know what kind of words you're using and what kind of connection you're making with your patient.
Well, a little bit like how I explained to you that they're custom made in Spain. They're made of wood. the designer, I know the designer, Lorena, you know, when you show up at these shows like Vision Expo, you meet the designers. So you've got a connection and tell a story about that. I'm like, they're like a piece of art. They're actually in the Guggenheim Museum.
Wow. Wow.
And they're like, whoa. And you can make them in whatever color and shapes you want. Here are all the colors. It's just like we were designing your home. We're going to design a piece of art for your face.
I love it. I love it. So truly knowing the story behind the brand is what helps to make that connection.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for, you know, your patient or your client to really get in tune to what you have to say. I love it.
Yeah. And I think they love that you know the designers too. And my next one is David Green.
Oh, nice.
So
That's very nice.
You know, sustainable. There's a piece of nature embedded in every single frames, whether it's leaves or different elements out of nature. He actually embeds. I don't know if you can see it with the lighting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and they just go on. They fit. They're durable, sustainable.
Yeah.
Look at the way it reflects color too. And I'll do that with people where I get them in the right lighting and I get them in daylight and I get to see how every time you turn, it changes color a little bit too.
I love it. And I love that it complements your eye color as well.
It's blue, everything, you know, there's a theme here. I do branch out. I usually branch out when I get a new outfit and I need a new pair of glasses.
Gotcha. Now that David Green designer, is he based out of South Africa or Africa? I feel like I've seen him on one of my colleagues, Obi Malopi's page with some stuff that he does out there in Africa.
South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually Suzanne Sandell, if she's still on here, she's our Canadian distributor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
For that too. And my newest shades are Cazelle.
Woo-wee. Hollywood.
Designed in the 80s. I wore them in the 80s. You know, I had to bring them back and like, I'm ready to revisit the 80s. But, you know, like, do you like arrive and show up in these or what?
Oh my goodness. And the temples are just amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I find when you get the right style on your patients, on your clients, watch their body language.
Yes.
Because they actually like stand taller. It's like when I bought this jacket, it's a perfect fit. It's tailored, it's nipped, it's tucked. And I put it on and I'm like, I feel like $1 million. So I never have to think about myself for the rest of the day because I've got, again, back to that, I've got myself put together. But this, like, I like almost had to stand up when I put these on. Like, I was like, oh, baby. It's like, but that's that feeling again. People want to feel like that when they get their eyewear on.
Yeah.
And it's thrilling to watch.
Right.
Like, I just get so much energy from being with my clients. I love them and they love me. So it's a great way to spend your day.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I love it. And I love your eyewear and I love everything that you have done for the industry. And the knowledge that you bestowed upon us this evening has just been unmatched and fantastic. And I really hope that the entire industry has tuned in and has taken some of these gems and will apply them to practice tomorrow. You know, whether you have your mobile clinic, whether you're in a smaller boutique style practice, whether you're in a larger corporate practice, make sure you give that personalized care. Make sure that you listen to your patients. Make sure you use the right descriptive words to really make that patient sit up and tune into you and lock and load to every word that you say. Eye care professionals, colleagues, we have the power to transform lives from the functional aspect and from the fashion aspect. And if you need help with any of those aspects, there's always someone out there to call. But when it comes to that fashion aspect, Wendy is truly a star and she has a consulting business that can help elevate your practice. Wendy, if you don't mind maybe sharing, how folks can get in touch with you, what the process looks like if they want to bring you in and help to elevate, their eyewear, but also just the communication and learn more about the methodology of how you do your sales in general. If you don't mind sharing that information.
Yeah, thank you. I offer in clinic sales training with the entire team, and that includes the eye doc, so that we can walk through that patient journey. It's hands-on, it's role playing, it's fun, it's team building. I also do keynote presentations, and I've done
Nice.
keynote presentations in person and virtually. I was actually Friday night in New Zealand on a virtual keynote, which was
Wow.
incredible. Accommodating that piece of it, and then I do virtual training, I do in-person training, and walk through the entire methodology, just to get that foundation built so that they can build and build and build. And that is fun to watch. And it's dynamic when you're in there working and styling, and they're seeing their confidence level go up as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Well, Wendy, if you could leave one piece of advice for all the listeners and followers out there, what would it be?
It would be always stay curious and be generous with your attention and your time and your expertise.
I love it. I love it. As long as you stay curious, you're always going to wonder. You're always going to figure out how to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
You're never going to be, bored, tired. It's always going to be something else that you're going to reach for. And I think that's great. I think that's the advice that we all need, whether you're an optician, an eyewear consultant, an optometrist, an ophthalmologist, you work at the front desk, whatever it may be. Stay curious, feed that curiosity, stay knowledgeable, leverage these platforms like Defocus Media, leverage these platforms like Be Spectacular Training. Reach out to Wendy if you have any questions. Wendy, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and have this conversation with me. We're definitely going to have to dial in or bring you back and take a look at that closet at some point in time, because I'm very curious to know what that looks like, because I may be copying you down the road. But I really want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me and all the listeners out there. Again, everyone loves you. I mean, great questions. Luxury sales is a personalized care. Nice. Wow. I mean, you have really created the wow factor this evening. Thank you again. And for everyone out there, this show will be on demand on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on our Facebook page, on Defocus Media. Follow Wendy at Be Spectacular Training on Instagram. You'll get sales tips and also style tips. So if you want to take your game to the next level, this is the person that you want to follow. Thank you again, Wendy. This has been fantastic. To all my colleagues out there, stay healthy, stay positive, stay blessed, and most importantly, stay curious. Have a fantastic day, and thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next time. Peace. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020 and